because the Ganav violates not a natural in the world, the world order, but he violates the godly order, the truth itself, and that's why there's no vindication, there's no bypass unless you actually have retribution. A Gazlan, on the other hand, his violation is more on the worldly level, and therefore it's possible to correct it in a much easier way. Even to the extent that the Chacham say you should be moichel him, forgive him. So this is why Torah mitzvahs are primarily relating to the Iyar of Kabbalah soil, oil malchus. Just like in the case of a melech, you don't know anything about a melech. You don't have a personal relationship with the melech. It is simply the reality itself. What is a melech? What is the office of a melech? As we mentioned many times, in terms of running the country, all the various branches of government are all filled by experts in those branches, in those fields. What's a melech? A melech gives this country its essential presence, value. Which is the pshat that then if his desire is that Atzma should be mizgala in the world, that results in Avei from Torah mitzvahs. Okay, so we're on the line that begins Alidei Zeh Gilui Oyer Yisrael Baruch. Omnom, however, im horotzu b'hatzimoin hu, if the movement and the tzimoin and the thirst and the desire from that are associated with the recognition of the supremacy of the Reima Musayin Seif, how it is outside of worldly parameters. And that desire is b'bchinas hiskalalus, is in a hiskalus manner. Hiskalus means to be incorporated. Lehikoler b'oyer Yisrael baruch, that he simply, that he has aroused that essential neshama draw, that he wants to be nichel, he wants to just be elikus. Nikola b'oyer Yisrael, he doesn't want to be in the world at all. As we said, that his bonus in the Reimamus can take two pathways. One is that the Atmos should be drawn down, and the other is that he wants to be nichel in Atmos. Nikol be'er Yisrael. Harei horotzu mitzad Atzmai. So there, the rotzu in and of itself, einoi mei v'lidei shuv. There, the rotzu does not bring about to the shuv, does not result in shuv. This rotzu knows no bounds. Adarabba, on the contrary, hu b'bchinas yitzia migeder keli. Then this rotzu is in a manner what's called yitzia migeder keli. He steps out from the parameters of keli. Keli means a receptacle. In simple terms, means he wants something and doesn't need to define what it is that he wants. And he doesn't have a definition, in fact, of what he wants. It was the essential truth, not as it is being comprehended and recognized, but as it is unto itself. Yitzir Megeder Kli. I want to explain this. Yitzir Megeder Kli. It's just because of its purity and its profundity. There is seichel and there is machshava. And actually we use these two terms many times interchangeably, seichel and machshava. But in fact, they're two different qualities. Seichel is a koyach ha-nefesh, and it is manifesting, it is speaking of what the nefesh is, what the nefesh conceptualizes, recognizes. Machshava is recognizing it, being aware of it, being aware of the seichel. That's machshava. So machshava is like the chitzonius of the seichel. They are very closely interleaved and interrelated, because machshava is also in a bitl manner. Is very transparent. In machshava, you're not even aware, even though in machshava you are actually thinking with kelim, with letters and words. You're thinking a language, whatever language it is. It may be your own formulated language, but there is a language, and but you're totally unaware of it. You're aware of the seichel that's in this thought, and this is why I said it's your own formulated language many times. The language is that which fits the seichel. You're not fitting the seichel into a language, like in speech. Fit the seichel into language. In machshava, the language accommodates the seichel. But nevertheless, there is a language. It's a keli. And this is what makes you aware. This is the awareness of the seichel, recognition of the seichel. Awareness of the seichel, that's already in Metzias. So you're not purely and totally absorbed in the seichel. You are recognizing and observing the seichel in a certain sense. Yitzir Megeder Kli means I don't want to know the seichel. I don't want to know it. I want to be it. That's meant Yitzir Megeder Kli. And the reason for that is because etzem is not knowable. That there's nothing in etzem to be defined. Which is why we always point out there is no etzem principle in worldly context. Because in world everything is is a coordinated element, entity that is put together from various parts. Etzem means has no parts. So therefore, when he wants to, the Atma saying so Shalamayla Megeder, I'm sorry, so Mebechinas Yitzir Megeder Kli. He wants to step out from Megeder Kli, from the bounds of a keli. We'll come back again for more clarity in a moment. and his entire desire and will, who is rak lotzeisul hikola bi'atzmos Ein Baruch. It is to step forth out and to be incorporated in atzmos Ein Sof. Not to know the atzmos Ein Sof, but to be nichlal in the atzmos Ein Sof. Shelamayla megeder ilus. That which is above the boundaries and the parameters of worlds. As we said, it isn't that he is drawn to it and he wants to know more about it. Knowing about it means knowing it in the Gather Eilus, in his place, in his parameters. No, he doesn't want it. He doesn't want to know it. He wants to be it. Again, this brings back the point which we made several times over these few days. If this is outside of Gather Eilus, how does he come to want it? He is in the world. Which means he wants out of the world. He doesn't want to live. I mean, what is it that he wants? And how does he get, where does he get that kind of a desire? And the answer is the same as we pointed out many times. That really the seichel is really a nefesh element. A nefesh is not work. Nefesh really is godly. So when there is this recognition of the Reimus Ein Sof, the appreciation of the Reimus is not a worldly appreciation. It's a nefesh, a purely nefesh appreciation. And the more he delves into it, the more he is drawn to it, and he doesn't want to go back into the world. There is the episode that we mentioned many times, with the Rebbe Rashab when he was a young bacher, a young Rebbe. He became very ill, and his illness consisted in the fact that he could not see world. So the Rebbe Maharash would come and visit him, and the Rebbe Maharash displayed a very luxurious life. You can say he displayed a luxurious life. He lived with great fanfare. Extravagantly. And he had a silver cane. The Choshevet people in those days always carried a cane, a silver cane. So when the Rebbe came with the cane, so the son, the Rebbe Maharashab, the cane, the Rebbe Taten Stecken, I was able to see. So the Rebbe, the Maharash left the cane by his bed, so that this would keep him connected to the world, because that cane he was able to see. But we have to understand, just to understand the principle, that life itself that we actually are experiencing is not worldly. This is literally a reality itself, a godly reality. This is why, you remember, one of these, maybe a couple of weeks ago, maybe this in the previous page, when we said that the Rotze for Shuv, and it was understood here that Rotze means when there is a godly light coming down, and then the Chayas comes down, and then that dissipates, and it needs to be needs to be restored because that dissipates. It ends. So we explained, no, Chayas never ends. It's godly. It never ends. It cannot dissipate. The worldly thing has its limit and it dissipates. Chayus doesn't dissipate. The reason that there is a Rotzu, going back to the Rotzu, is because it does not want to be in the world. It wants to rejuvenate from a higher source. But not that it itself dissipates. And so this is the pshat over here. His desire is exclusively lotus when we call him atmosphere in self. There is really, literally in the person, the human being, an element that is not worldly. And if that should be tapped and recognized and experienced, he doesn't want world. This is in fact what happened as we learned, about Nodav Abihu. Nodav Abihu, and they expired in their Avodah because they allowed this desire to surface without any restraint, and then they just expired. Harei horotzu mitzad atzmei. I'm sorry. Ukmoi kein, then having recognized this possibility, that one would have a rotzu without a shuv, when the rotzu does not bring about a shuv, that we identified in the rotzu of a roim ha'maseinim. But really, ukmoi kein, likewise, similarly, beha'ava shebebchinas kiruv, in the first level of ahava, so ava shebebchinas kiruv, ava that represents the kiruv and the response to the kiruv, so that the closeness and special attention, as we discussed in the previous page, which is a completely different path for ava. Even there, kasher yagi ala madregas ahava betanugim, if he should reach to the madrega of ahava, what's called ahava betanugim. Ahava that actually provides for an experience of tainug. Tainug means pleasure, delight. Now, what is this ahava b'tanugim? Ahava in itself, as such, is mloshon ova. Ahava relates more to the rotzen than to tainug. Ahava means there's a rotzu, he wants something. Tainug is when there is satisfaction. When there's an actual experience of it, that's tainug. Tainug and rotzu are both supreme qualities in the nefesh that are both, so to speak, gifts to the human being. This is the actual experience of life. Tainug and rotzu, which are koiches, we call them koiches, although this is, by us, this is not koiches, this is the presence of the nefesh. But they are koiches relative to the nefesh. These are two koyachs called koyachs makifim. Normally a koyach, the way we perceive a koyach means an ability to do something. It may be a very fine ability, but it's an ability, a talent, whatever it is, something that expresses itself. A koyach, normally, a regular koyach, functions within certain parameters, and therefore it is felt and it is executed in a given quality, like either in the hand, or in the eyes, or in the mouth, in the ear, whatever it is. There is a certain kele, a certain means by which he relates to that koyach. Koyachas makifim of rotzen and oineg are all-encompassing. There is not any aspect of the human being that is outside of rotzen or is devoid of rotzen. The minute, as we said the other day, the minute one is that loses interest in understanding, he will not understand. It's an amazing thing. He has a koyach haseichel. He will lose it. And he won't lose the koyach haseichel, but he won't function. And if he loses the rotzen to walk, he won't be able to walk. This is, so to say, the manifestation of the actual chayes hanefesh. And it comes in the form of rotzen and oinek. Why does it come in the form of rotzen and oinek? Why not the nefesh directly? Because nefesh directly cannot be translated in a function, in walking. Walking means that I recognize that there is an expanse of space. There is here and there is there, and I want to go there. I want to be there. Nefesh does not recognize an expanse of space. Nefesh is where it wants to be, where it is. So nefesh cannot relate to the concept of moving from one place to another. It is everywhere at the same time. In order that the function of the nefesh will be translated on a functional level, on an active level, the nefesh itself has to be translated in rotzen and oinek level. In rotzen there is that element, even though as we said rotzen is all-encompassing, but it's all-encompassing. Encompassing means that there is zman u'mokim, but it's encompassing. That which is above mokim is not encompassing mokim, it's above mokim. Do I have you with me?
Nefesh, you're talking the nefesh is above mokim.
Yeah, that which is above mokim is above mokim. It's not encompassing mokim. Rotzen is encompassing all the koiches. So that's why there is the necessity of this middle step between nefesh and the koiches of rotzen and oinek, which provides the power of the nefesh, power to enable all the other koiches. This is the rotzen and oinek. In this itself, there are two madrigas: the rotzen and oinek. Rotzen is actually activating koiches. Rotzen and oinek is a completely a pure nefesh experience. That's why it says ein lemayla mi oinek. There is nothing higher than oinek. So normally ahava is a drawing, is a desire for something that reflects the rotzen. But when the ahava reaches to a point where it's called ahava b'ta'anugim, where he had actually recognized the presence and the experience of nehab, of the elokus, to the point where he actually experiences elokus, not just wanting it, but actually having it. That's called ahava b'ta'anugim. At that point, ahava b'ta'anugim is also stepping out of the of the worldly parameters, the parameters of Kelim. That's a pure nefesh experience.
It's also stepping out. What else is?
The Ratzon.
No. Either whether it is mitzad Reimos or Insay or mitzad Kilo or Insay. If the Abba ultimately, even if though it's initiated, it started from Kilo, which is a worldly recognition. But once he gets into it to the extent where he actually is imbued with Oynek, then he loses interest in world. I have a minute. I'm going to make this point here. Along with this, which is part of the whole discussion that we've been having and we had today, this brings to clear recognition that the Iyar Ha'alakus, that is the real reality. Alakus is not a facilitator to be able to experience and participate in the world. The real thing is the Alakus. Alakus is totally self-satisfied. World has no means of satisfying unless there's some kind of a goal, some kind of accomplishment. Alakus is totally self. That's the real truth. Motzi Rishi Mamzi Amit is Motzi. This is Emes itself. Emes does not need anything else to complement it. Everything in the world has to have an explanation. What are you here? What is it for? Emes doesn't need an explanation. Alakus doesn't have a reason for being, and it does not need a reason for being. So this is when it comes to Alma Betanugim, that's the Oynek, when it reaches to Alakus the point where the Alakus is no longer a facilitator, but it is the real truth itself. He actually has the closest Betanugim. Yocheli is Bebechinas Kiloyim Adamri. There, in fact, it's possible that it should be Bebechinas Kiloyim Adamri in total expiration. Into Alakus. In fact, he's not expiring. He's getting into the real truth. But from a worldly perspective, it's expiration. Okay, so this is where we have to stop today. Okay, have a good day. I know somebody must be on the online.
Tonight is...
Yeah, tonight you're going to have a share. Yeah, 6, 7, 9 pounds.
So, Naftali asked that I'm saying in front of him, maybe he'd be embarrassed. In any case, we need a sponsor for this week's Fabring, and whoever it is, please pay up by tomorrow. So.
Yeah.